Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today for this exciting episode of WINS, or Women in STEM. We are live at Mote Marine Laboratory and Aquarium. My name is Dr. Krystan Wilkinson, and I'm a scientist with the Chicago Zoological Society's Sarasota Dolphin Research Program. I also work with the Sharks and Rays Conservation Research Program at Mote. The WINS program is funded by Mote Scientific Foundation and is aimed at highlighting some awesome women scientists, technology experts, engineers, and mathematicians. Because when students can see themselves represented in STEM, everyone wins. Today we're going to talk about photo identification and how scientists are using the natural markings on animals to differentiate between individuals. But first, I have a question for you. Do you have a favorite pattern? If you do, type it in the chat below. Think of like stripes on zebras, spots on leopards perhaps, maybe zigzags or rainbows, different color patterns that you like. If you have one, type it in now. All right, I see some people are saying they like a giraffe pattern. That's really cool. Definitely stripes. Zigzags, tigers. Tigers have awesome stripes. Oh, polka dots. Can never go wrong with a good polka dot pattern. Well, you know, these animals have markings like these patterns, and experts are using those markings to identify individuals. I think my friend Ross is actually in the field today trying to put some of these tools to the test. So let's check in with Ross and see how he did. Hey, Ross, are you there?
Hey, yeah. Hey, Krystan. Yeah, just getting back in now, actually. Yeah, perfect timing.
How'd you do it? Any luck today?
I mean, honestly, no, not really. I didn't have that much luck. I didn't really have that much fun either. I guess you could say I had a pretty foul time trying to go bird watching, so it just didn't end up going that well. I don't know. I just can't get these birds ID'd. I cannot identify them to save my life.
Well, first step, Ross, is holding that book right side up.
Oh, yes, of course. Mhm.
Well, Ross, I know IDing animals can be so tough. Thankfully, I do have an animal expert who is a friend of mine, Ximena, and she knows all about IDing animals. She actually identifies individual spotted eagle rays.
Oh, that's perfect. I was having the hardest time keeping these birds apart. I went out there looking at these birds. They all kind of looked the same. But I mean, I guess a bird's a bird anyway, right? I mean, I've seen one, I've seen them all. They all got the feathers, they all got the beak. So I guess I can't really tell them apart to save my life. But it's okay, because if your expert is coming on, if your friend is going to teach us about eagles, that's perfect. I'm so excited to learn more about eagles as a bird.
Well, Ross, spotted eagle rays aren't actually birds. They're fish. They're a large marine ray, kind of like a stingray, and they're related to the sharks.
Really? Well, dang, that's amazing. I guess you have a wide array of knowledge, huh?
Well, I think Ximena has the wide array of knowledge. So let's see if she has some tips and tricks that she can help us out with today to improve our photo ID skills. But first, while we call Ximena, Ross, I sent you some pictures of spotted eagle rays. Did you happen to get those? Maybe you can show our viewers so they at least know what we're looking at.
Absolutely. Yeah, you sent them over, and I had the hardest time telling them apart. So maybe the audience can help me, all right? So we're going to put some different images of these spotted eagle rays up on your screen right now. Now, I've marked them A, B, C, and D. Now, at first glance, boy, they all look the same to me. I need your help. So everyone take a quick look at your screen right now. Do any of these four eagle ray heads look similar? There is one matching pair and two that don't belong anywhere. So let me know in the chat box, type in if there is a matching pair. They all look the same to me, and it's okay if you don't see the matching pair, because by the end of today's program, we're going to learn lots of different tips and tricks in order to spot the difference. So without further ado, we will look at those spotted eagle ray photos at the end of today's lesson, but we're going to meet Ximena, who is an expert at spotting the difference of spotted eagle rays. So welcome, Ximena. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, hey guys. Hi, Krystan. Hi, Russ. How are you?
Gosh, this is so exciting. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, I'd love to know a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and where you're connecting from, because it is so exciting to have an international expert joining us on today's program.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Ximena. I'm from Mexico, and I work in the Mexican Caribbean. I'm an environmental scientist, and right now I'm the coordinator of the Spotted Eagle Ray Research and Conservation Project here in the Mexican Caribbean.
That is so cool. But you also just said a lot of science at us. You were just sciencing for a while. So I can't keep these birds apart, and you are able to look at these spotted eagle rays that all look the same to me. So can you tell us a little bit more about a day in the life of your work? What do you do? What is a field researcher like? Walk us through what it's like to work with these animals that all look the same. Or do they?
Do they? Okay, so why don't you let me show you what I do a day in the field. So this is what I do. Basically, I go diving because the spotted eagle rays are fish. So I have to go to where they are. My field work is basically in the shipwrecks here in Cancun, in the Mexican Caribbean. We often see an aggregation of about 30 eagle rays in these shipwrecks. This footage is from a couple seasons ago, and like you can see, there's a bunch of them, right? Okay, so what I do is I take my camera, I go diving, and I kind of chase them a little bit just so I can get the perfect photo. The perfect photo for me is the one that you're going to see just coming up. It's basically their butt or pelvic fins. So I take a photo of their pelvic fins, and then just like that. And then you can see every single spotted eagle ray has a different spot pattern. Each of them is unique. It's kind of like your fingerprint. So I can actually tell them apart. All right, so.
Wow, Ximena, it looks so beautiful diving with these spotted eagle rays. Do you see any other species while you're diving?
Actually, Krystan, I do. I see lots of cool stuff while I'm diving here in the Mexican Caribbean. If you can see the video, sometimes I even see turtles in the shipwrecks, fish like groupers, and sometimes I see reef sharks as well. So it's very, very, very cool stuff.
Would you say that this is your favorite part of your job, or are there other parts that just knock your socks off?
I think my favorite part is when the eagle rays come very close to me and they say hello. So that's my favorite part of my day.
Ximena, these are beautiful images, but all of these eagle rays look kind of the same. So how do you use photo ID to individually ID individuals?
Okay, so let me show you. So basically, I take a photo of their butt or pelvic fins, and I use these images to identify the animals. So this is in the shipwrecks here in Cancun. I know they kind of all look the same, but they have different spot patterns. Can you spot the difference, guys?
I don't know. Ross, how about you? Can you spot the difference?
I mean, you're asking the wrong person here. Those all look very similar. I mean, the first thing I notice is some of them look like little smiley faces, so I can barely keep any of these apart. Now, we also had a really great question in the chat, which actually just came in, about camouflage. So considering that they all have different shapes and spots and colors and patterns, I mean, what's the point? I mean, having these big, bright black and white spots, are those parts of camouflage? I mean, when we're trying to spot the difference, are the eagle rays able to tell each other apart?
Great question. And there's so much we don't know about the spotted eagle rays. It's kind of like a new field that we're researching. So all these questions are really, really good. Right now, I'm focusing more on movements, and that's what I use these patterns for. So camouflage is not my expertise, but that's a great question. Maybe Krystan has some ideas on that.
I'll have to mull it over a little bit. But when you're looking at these spot patterns, Ximena, do you have like strategies that you use to ID like if certain spots are are the same, or I see some squiggly lines in there too. How can you tell a squiggle from a squiggle?
Yeah, exactly. So if we look at the photos, we actually gave them very scientific names. So the ones that look like a donut, we basically call them donuts. Okay. The ones look like two dots together, we call them peanuts. And then the other ones, we basically call them dots. So we use the peanuts, the dots, and the donuts to identify the eagle rays. We also use a special software. It's actually free. So if you guys want to try it out, there's other platforms like WildMe where you can go for a holiday anywhere in the world. And if you see a whale shark, a manta ray, or a whale, or a zebra, like you guys mentioned, you guys like zebras and leopards, you can upload those photos into this platform, and then scientists will be able to use those photos to identify the animals. So if you go and see a whale shark, you can take a photo of them. But this is a photo ID that I use. I use I3S. You guys have any questions there? Or
Yeah. So what is I3S? Like, does I3S automatically identify the spots for you, or do you still have to do it?
Well, actually, I3S is a free software, so everyone can download it. But like I mentioned before, I use their butts, right? Or the pelvic fins. Then I have to crop the pelvic fins, and I have to do it manually. So it takes me about 20 minutes to draw the spot pattern using the donuts, the peanuts, the spots. So I draw them, each of them on the I3S. And then I3S helps me to identify the individual, and it'll tell me if I've seen it before. Okay, so this is what it looks, the final product. And then I run it in I3S, and then I3S will show me different images of possible matches. So this one is actually a match. I don't know if you guys can see, they're the same.
Yeah, I can see down towards the trailing edge of the pelvic fin, there's like a horizontal spot that looks very much the same between them. So that's awesome. And so once you get all of these images, Ximena, then what do you do with them?
Okay.
Do you like catalog them? Do you scrapbook with them? What do you do?
I actually catalog them. So yes, I have a regional catalog. But what's a regional catalog? So basically, a regional catalog is classifying the individuals and where I saw them. So the community, divers, snorkelers, even kids like 10-year-old kids send me photos of these animals. And then what I do is I run them through I3S, and I can tell where they were located and when was the animal spotted, or when did they saw it. So with this catalog, I can start looking into movement patterns. Let's say I have an eagle ray, actually an eagle ray named Cheerio in Puerto Morelos that I see every winter. Okay, they send me a photo of Cheerio and I save it in my catalog. The next year, people go snorkeling and then they send me another photo of Cheerio. So I know Cheerio actually came back year after year. So that's pretty cool, right? I know Cheerio really likes Puerto Morelos, and I know he comes back every year.
That is so cool, Ximena. I mean, you said before that other people are sending you photos too. So it's not only you collecting all these photos, right? Do you have like friends that go diving with you, students, just members of the public?
Well, working on an original catalog, it's a lot of work, because if you see the map, it's actually a very, very long distance that we covered with this regional catalog. We start from Holbox, which is in the north of the Yucatan Peninsula, and we go all the way down south to Belize. So even though I would love to go diving every week to all these places, that's kind of a lot of work. So I need the help of all my friends and all the regional of all the public that can give me a hand. So divers, lots of divers that go diving just for fun, and they have a camera, they go out, they take a photo, and they send me the photo. They can send it to me on Instagram, they can send it on Facebook or email, sometimes even WhatsApp, they just send me lots of photos. They tell me where they've seen this eagle ray, and then I can use this and translate it into data. So,
and how are you talking to all of these divers? Are you going to dive shops to get the word out about your project?
Exactly. So that's how everything started. So We visited all the dive shops that we could find here in the Mexican Caribbean. We talked to the divers there. We put all those posters there that you can see. I don't know if you can tell the posters about the eagle rays in the background. So we talked to all the owners, all the divers, all the instructors, photographers, and everybody was super excited about the Eagle Ray project. We also go to different fairs with the kids and their families. So they're also super excited to know that we can tell the Eagle Rays apart, and we can identify the individuals. What else do I do?
So what are some things you've learned so far with your catalog?
Okay, so far we have more than 300 individuals in this catalog, but the work was done thanks to the community, because loads of people send us about more than 1,000 photos. Not all of them are great, because sometimes we only get one side of the eagle ray, sometimes we get another side of the eagle ray, but these are the perfect photos from all of our scientists or citizen scientists. So all the community that's been helping us out.
And will all of these efforts help the eagle ray? Like, are you helping their conservation or getting the word out about how cool they are?
Yes, of course. I mean, everyone knows they're super cool, right? But
they're my favorite animal, at least.
They are my favorite too. But yes, eagle rays are not protected here in Mexico. They are not regulated. So there's a couple of fisheries that exist here in Mexico. They fish for the eagle ray, but we're trying to get this catalog. In Florida, I don't know if you know that they are protected. In Cuba, they're not protected, and in Mexico, they're not protected. So we're trying to see if there's a connection or a connectivity between our populations. Population in Florida, do they come to Mexico? Do they visit the Mexican Caribbean during the winter? We don't know yet. So we're trying to use this information and turn it into policy making or legislation. So, yeah.
Wow, Ximena, we have learned so much from you today, and it looks like our viewers are learning a lot from you as well. We have tons of questions coming in, but before we turn it over to the viewers, I have one more question for you. So let's say students are really interested in a career such as yours. You said earlier you're an environmental scientist, but maybe just environmental scientist, like they don't want to be a biologist. Is there another career that's they can still get involved in your research without having to be a scientist per se?
Yes, of course. You can be one of our citizen scientists. And I have lots of friends that are photographers, like underwater photographers, professional ones. So they always come down, help me to take some photos. You can be a dive instructor, you can be a dive master, you can be a snorkel guide, a teacher, educator. Yeah, there's lots of things you can do just to be a part of the project.
It sounds like the options are endless. Do you have any final, like, not final, but inspiring words for students out there who want to get involved?
I would say just follow your passion. I fell in love with the spotted eagle rays when I saw them 15 years ago. I didn't know much about them, but then I got myself into asking questions about this animal, and I found out there was not much information. So I told myself, well, why don't I try to gather some information to understand these animals better and protect them? So, yeah.
That is so inspirational. What a great answer. Now, we do have a lot of questions rolling in, so we're going to start answering some of these questions with our amazing guest expert. So keep typing your questions into the chat, and in the meantime, all right, Ximena, so our first question is, are there different types of eagle rays? So we have the spotted eagle ray, but are there other species that live in and around this area? Do they all have spots? Is there such thing as a striped eagle ray?
A striped eagle ray? Oh, not here in the Mexican Caribbean, but we are super fortunate, and we do have manta rays that visit us during the summer months. You can also identify manta rays by their spot pattern. They have it in their belly. So if you ever see one and take a photo, you can upload it to a database that I shared with you before, the Wild Book, and people can identify them. We also have electric rays. We have modular rays. we have yellow stingrays, we have American stingrays. What else do we have?
Tons of different species. That's amazing. Which is actually a great transition to our next question. So make sure that you're still typing your questions in. We still have a lot of time in order to ask our experts. So our next amazing question is, what is that long stick sticking out of the back of the ray? What does that do? So can you tell us a little bit more about their tail, the role of their tail, and what makes their stinger so unique?
Okay, so do we have any videos of the barbs? Okay, so that's the barb. They use it to protect themselves from predators. Humans are not predators often, or in the wild, right? So don't worry, they're not aggressive towards us, but they use it to protect themselves from predators. So when there's a shark and it tries to get them, they will protect themselves and then they swim away. So
that's amazing. But now, in spotted eagle ray, is it a type of stingray? I mean, I heard other stingrays have their stingers kind of at the end of the tail. So what do they use? So they use that long barb in order to protect themselves from like a shark coming in at the top. But it's a really long tail. Does it help with balance? Does it help with them swimming?
Of course, yes. It helps them with balance. So if we have some video of the spotted eagle rays, we can see them how they use their tail to balance themselves when they're looking for food. It helps them a lot to, you see how they're like using their tail to balance. Then they put their head into the sand. They make a hole. They use their spiracles to get rid of the sand that is going into their mouth and gills. And then they'll find their delicious, yummy food. Here in the Mexican Caribbean, they love to eat queen conch. So yeah, look how they use their tail for balance.
That's awesome. So they love eating shellfish just like we do. Now, we have another great question that just came in. When you work with these animals, you're doing a lot of photo identification, but do you ever actually capture them for tracking and tagging, or is that not really what you do? Do you have any colleagues that do that?
I would love to do that, but that's a little more expensive. So I chose kind of like the
the most economic way, right?
Economic way, yeah. Like here in Mexico, we don't have a lot of resources, so we have a GoPro, we have some underwater cameras, so we chose to go that way because it gives you very good information at a low cost. But I do have some colleagues at Moat Marine. Kim Bassos, she's our mentor, so she taught us a lot about the photo ID. Krystan and Brianna and the spotted eagle ray people at Moat, they do tag them, they track them, they use satellite tags, they use acoustic tags. There's lots of different tags that you can use. The satellite tag will give you the exact location where they're moving, but the acoustic, you'll need a receiver, and you set those receivers in different areas, and then you can tell if the eagle ray goes through that area, and then you'll collect the information later on. So yeah, there's lots of different ways. They're a little bit more expensive. Hopefully I'll get some funding later on, but for now I'm just using photo ID.
Well, that is so cool. Oh my gosh, we have learned so much. Now, unfortunately, I am super aware of the time, which is such a bummer because we have so many more questions, some amazing questions that are rolling in. However, do not fear for all of you students and STEM experts out there. We have some amazing resources to share for you. Now, we have actually partnered with Flipgrid. Now, Flipgrid is this awesome website that we've partnered with where you can actually leave us a free video question and we will respond with a personalized video answer. So in case we didn't get to your question today, please join us on Flipgrid where you can leave us our questions. We'll put the link in the chat as well. So then that is a great way for you to stay in touch with our experts that we met throughout this series. Now, Krystan, what do we like to call our Flipgrid page?
We want you to consider us your STEM pen pals.
Fantastic. So even though Ximena's all the way down in Mexico, Flipgrid is a great way to connect with her and keep updated on what she's doing and how to ask her questions on her research. Now, Flipgrid is more than just a video voicemail tool, however. It also has some amazing learning resources as well. In fact, we have some awesome downloadable worksheets and activities on our Flipgrid. Now, speaking of interactive activities, that we're going to go back to that eagle ray headshot that we talked about earlier. Now, as you notice, there are 4 different pictures of these headshots, but 2 of them are a matching pair. Now, we have some amazing guesses that came into the chat earlier, but now that we know how to recognize all these spots, now that we learn that there's spots and donuts and peanuts, oh my gosh, it's just nuts. This is insane. So we are so excited that we can now apply and use our eagle ray matching technology and the skills that we learned from Ximena. Now, I am actually not going to tell you the correct matching pair, because this is in fact the worksheet that you can download that is on our Flipgrid page. So we actually have different activities, different worksheets, different matching games throughout this program that you can all access on our Flipgrid page. So rather than just give you the answer now, we are going to see if you can download that worksheet and figure it out yourself. We have some amazing resources on our Flipgrid page as well from the previous episodes and for some of our upcoming episodes as well. So make sure you check out our Flipgrid page. Now, Krystan, let's turn it back over to you to have any final words or thank yous, and then we'll have one last info graphic on some of our partners and upcoming events.
Thank you so much, Ximena. Ross, do you think you have all of your photo ID skills answered? Do you think you've improved them over this episode?
I've definitely improved them, but that's one of the great things that Ximena mentioned is to follow your passions. I'm not good yet, but practice makes perfect. So I am so excited to use all these tools and resources and practice and go out, make sure I keep the book right side up, and apply this to both birds and all the amazing ocean animals that Ximena was talking about as well.
Well, thank you so much, Ximena, and be sure to check out our next episode where we learn more about dolphin communication and how scientists are actually able to ID dolphins based on the sounds they make. And if you'd like to keep up with what Ross and I are doing, check out sarasotadolphin.org and moat.org.
How exciting. Yes, our next program is definitely going to be a great time. Now, while we have you, we would love for you to fill out that survey that we mentioned earlier in the beginning of today's program. Now, it's only going to take 5 minutes, we promise, but not only would we love to hear about what you liked about today's program, but we'd love some feedback on what you would like to see in future programming. It's a great way for us to build programs that you want to see down the road. And last but not least, if you love women in STEM, if you love these amazing female scientists and engineers, then get ready to be stimulated with one of our amazing partners. The Intrepid Space Museum up in New York is featuring a very similar Women in Engineering and Science Day next month. So make sure you tune into that. And last but not least, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much for having such an amazing program. We learned so much together, and coming to you live from Moat Marine Laboratory as well as the Chicago Zoological Foundation. We are so excited, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.